Welcome to our India business overview, where we can cover the high points of Nu Skin's launching into India, one of the world's largest markets. So we got one of the world's most successful companies going into one of the world's most largest and fastest growing countries. So some of you may say, if you don't know already, who is Nu Skin? Who's this Nu Skin? Well, we're a 40-year-old company with a huge track record of success. We operate in 49 countries around the world currently and have for some time. We listed on New York Stock Exchange. We turn over more than $2 billion a year and have done that for some time. And over 40% of that figure we pay back out to our affiliates and business partners. And that's a big deal, especially when you consider the size of the market in India. We've got all sorts of full-on training programs that cover people from start to finish, including full leadership training. And our products literally have won awards around the world. So this is a great company going to a great country, a country with about 1.4 billion people, which is a massive opportunity. Especially when you factor in that 65% of the population is under 35 years old. The average age, or median age, I should say, in India is 28 years old. So it's phenomenal market. You've got a lot of well-educated young people who are keen, ready to go, and you can see the figures there. This opportunity is massive. Some people will say, oh, but it's a country with low income. Well, let's look at this. Between 300 and 350 million people currently. Now, 350 million people is larger than the United States. And that's just their middle class in India. And that's set at current rates to double in about 20 years. This is a big deal. This is a big market. And it's also big because it's a very technologically savvy market. And that's very important for our business because so much of our business is done online and on social media. If you look, they've got over at 1.2 billion internet users, most of that on mobile devices, iPads, phones, etc. Look how many people access social media. I mean, it's incredible. And most of those do it through two platforms. Many of you will be very familiar with Facebook and Instagram. That covers some 90% of the usage. So it's very clean, very clear areas we're used to operating in. But what about turnover? How does the direct sales industry, because we don't operate out of shops, so we're the direct sales industry, how does that do? Well, the industry, not any one company, but the industry in India in 2022 turned over $3.2 billion. And I'm going to use US dollars all the way through this overview because of its consistency internationally. That $3.2 billion, the industry there is growing at an average 13% a year, which is absolutely phenomenal growth. And there's already about 12 million people who are affiliates, distributors with direct selling companies in India. So it's an accepted way of doing business. Now, how does that product breakdown happen? Well, about 74% of the direct sales product sold in India is in wellness. What's wellness product? Well, I think nutritional supplements, that sort of area. And 17% is in the beauty area, I think skincare, cosmetics. Okay, now, what does Nu Skin do? Nu Skin does about $2 billion a year, and about half of that's in wellness and about half of that's in beauty. So we are incredibly well established. We're literally one of the world's only companies that's so well established in those two fields and so equally balanced with our R&D and our sales. Let's look at some other companies that operate in India, our potential competitors as we open there. The largest in 2023 was Herbalife, with nearly $800 million in sales. And then you see two India-based companies, Modicare and Vestige. And then you see another American-based company, Amway, at $220 million. It would be my expectation that based on the fact that in other markets around the world, a number of them, we have as much or more business than any of those two international companies on the list, that we are larger than them in some other markets. So with that said, there's I believe we'll do well over $100 million our first year, and within 4 or 5 years, we're going to go on to be right at the top of this list or near the top of this list. So that's a big opportunity, because you think they're paying out 40% of that back to the affiliates who are working with us on this project. That's a lot of money. Some people, I guess the most common question we get is, but your products are prestige, high-end products. They won't sell in India because of the lower incomes. Well, let's look at that for a minute. It's not accurate, because remember, we already operate in markets like Vietnam, Philippines, Indonesia, that have as low or lower incomes than India. And also, there's more millionaires in India than there is in the United States, which people seem to forget on often. We really have 3 product areas where we can tap most of the market. And that is our premium product range, which we call Nu Skin and ageLOC. That's our top end product. And that will get, 5 to 15% total of the market can afford those products currently in India. This is based on the Indian figures. And then we got what we call MASHDs, which is really mass prestige, put together as a word by our marketing guys, I guess, but it's prestige products, but for the mass market. We refer to them generally as Nutricentials as a brand name. There you've got another 15% of the population that can tap into those. And then we've got a mass market product range we only offer in certain markets like Vietnam and Indonesia and the Philippines, called Sion. And it's a lower cost range, great quality, but just lower cost, more basic range. So if you look at that, we can already, with the products we already manufacture, we already sell around the world, we can successfully target more than half the market in India. And that's before we start adding new products and services, once we're a couple of years into the Indian market and we're well established and really get an understanding of the local situation. To keep our costs down, we'll be using what's called third-party manufacturing as well as imported. This will keep a cost of product down. In fact, one of our largest manufacturers in the United States already has third-party manufacturing factories in India, which we'll be able to tap right in, because we've already got the business relationships with them and have had for a long time. And so we'll have a mix of localized product and imported that'll appeal to that middle and emerging middle class. Now, by 2030, we're looking at over 4% of the workforce in India being part of the gig economy. That's where people are having the second type side hustles and side jobs and everything else. That's a 200% increase on now. So we're on trend with what's happening in India, and India's on trend with what's happening around the world with what people refer to as the gig economy. And so we're really in the right place at the right time with a fresh new company, with fresh new products and substantial financial potential. What we'll do, how we work that out is this. If we look at this breakdown on the right side of the screen, there is huge amount of ethnic Indians living outside of India, one of the largest expatriate populations in the world. Now, all those figures are permanent residents, not students, things like that. They're not counted in this. So almost 6.5 million in North America, 1 million in Australia and New Zealand, 3.5 million European and Africa, and 3.75 million just in Southeast Asia. So we've got, I don't know what that adds up to, 15 million odd. These are permanent residents of those countries. And that's who we want to approach, because we are not open in India and we won't be open until sometime in 2025. So we can't go in there and talk to Indian people yet. And honestly, it wouldn't be a smart way to do it, because we want to train people in our open markets of how to do this business, how it functions, how the system works, so that they are making money and they're already at a leadership level before we open the market. And as we develop those leaders, and we need to develop more than 1,000 of those leaders around the world, then we'll kick off into India. And it sort of takes thinking globally outside your neighborhood, but acting locally, of who do you know locally? Who do you know here? Who do you know there? Because only certain people can participate. We refer to them as Indian eligible people. And the Indian government says that people who have non-Indian origin with no relationship with India cannot just jump on a plane, go into India and work. And it would be extremely difficult for them to get a work visa. But the people you see on the screen, these groups are allowed to go into India and work directly, which means once we open these three groups, who we will train and get ready in the outside open markets over the next year, will be the ones to participate. Overseas citizen of India, OCI, the PIOs, the person of Indian origin, and the non-resident Indians. Now, if you're Indian, you'll know what all those mean and what those are. If you're not, well, trust me, when you talk to people of Indian origin, they will understand that. Those are the groups that can participate personally into that market. And that means they'll be able to, if they want to go there or online, directly introduce affiliates once we open in 2025. We also are putting together an India Founders Program where we'll take a percentage of the first year revenue. So if I'm right and we do over $100 million the first year, that's going to be millions of dollars in this pool that will go only to that group of leaders who've developed their India teams, and it will be based on their performance. It'll be split between those people. Now, how are we going to do this? Well, we're in phase one already, and that's market launch prep. And really, we'll be in that until we develop at least 500 India eligible leadership level people in our business. Then we'll move straight into phase two, which is where we start working with the local product manufacturing, getting our digital tool set creation done in local language, everything else, and setting up our global trainings for India eligible leaders in outside markets like Australia or Canada or the US or wherever. Then by the time we've got 1,000 people at that sort of India eligible people at that low leadership level, we will then kick off the business phase three, which is where we build out the offices and hire and train local employees to get the product out to people and everything else. And once we've done that, kick off and launch into the exciting India market. And really that's about it. But it goes back to a $2 billion company, 40-year track record of success, operates in 49 markets already, pays out over 40% of their money every year to its affiliates, and it's got all the training programs. So I would suggest it's well worth taking a look at this business. Thanks for your attention. Keep watching for a detailed Q&A. Speak with the person who shared this overview with you for more details on the exciting opening of the India market.